Jonathan Judd?
No, you're not. You're Mayor Carlson now.
That's fine.
I don't know why. This might have gotten left,
I'm not worried.
but
Yeah,
We'll fake
and
it.
you know what I hate
It's the
about
same order though,
working
right?
from home, you don't know when to quit.
Pretty
close.
much.
Just follow this one, but yeah.
You don't know when to quit?
We don't do pledge of
You,
allegiance.
I work with schools, so I have no issues.
I find myself like,
Yeah,
well, I should probably jump on
Did I
and do
skip
this.
number 6
So I'm
by
working another
accident?
hour, and
Rookie
my wife's
move?
like, when do you quit?
No, you'll be.
Or I'm doing
You can ask. We'll just say.
turning city emails or what have you.
Yeah, a lot of Colby's kind of.
That works, we're good.
Directly do.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been, this is my first meeting out.
Close enough.
I haven't been to a
Yeah,
council
we'll
meeting.
just say we're gonna
I've always been online, so
Okay.
I might have to
All right.
come here on Monday.
It is, but I'm moving it.
Got them on.
Oh, yeah.
I have 2 kids in hockey, which, by the way, takes so much time. It's just unbelievable.
I know.
You've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my kid's bag when he got done. So, or his travel bag for the clothes. I gotta miss it though. A lot of people say they can't wait to get out of it, and I'm like, until you do, and then you.
Yeah, because you know, you meet a lot of people and you get to talk to your buddies and,
Family.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
You have to tap something here to talk, or is it,
Red's the circle.
you just talk and it'll pick it up?
Yeah, and if you hit the triple dot, if you want it off, and then you just hit the triple dot again if you want to speak again. It pauses it. Okay, we're good.
Hi, Mary. Are you
Hello,
running?
Chuck. Huh?
You running this?
I am.
The seatbelts for these. I might need it if she's running the building.
Not only that, they keep moving, so I imagine. Biff to the back.
All right, you can go ahead and start, Mary.
Go ahead.
Yep.
All right. It is 4:31. We will call to order this meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission. I am Vice Chairperson Mary Daly today, sitting in for Chris Thompson. And first thing, do I have an amendment to approve the agenda motion?
Call the meeting to order first.
Roll call? That's not on my cheat sheet. Okay. All right, we'll take attendance, teacher says. We'll call a roll. Heidi Durand.
Here.
Chuck Hendrickson.
Here.
Sebastian McDougall.
Here.
Joel Paulson. Nope.
Not online.
Okay. And Chris Thompson not here as well. Now, could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by McDougall, second by Durand. All those in favor, say aye. Do we have to roll call for that? No? Okay. All those opposed? Motion approved.
I don't know if my computer, Mary, or anybody over on that end, but I can't see anybody except Laura and myself.
Hang on one second, Heidi. We'll check with MCAM.
Thank you.
So we'll check for technical difficulties. They're working on it. Want to just pause for a minute? Okay. We'll pause for a moment for IT to do things.
That's better.
You can see now?
I can see now.
All right. Okay. And Joe Paulson, there he is. Okay. Mr. Paulson is here as well. So item number 11.
Correct. We would like to take item 11 off consent, just to provide additional information based on some emails and conversations we've had over the past week. And so we'll provide an update on that as well and additional information.
Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda minus number 11?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Motion by Paulson, second by Durand. Very good. Are there customers to be heard? Oh, we got to do a roll on that one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Motion to approve the consent. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Those not in favor, same sign. Motion carried. All right, motion approved. Now, customers to be heard. Are there any recognitions?
No customers to be heard at this time, and no recognitions as well. We'll provide maybe some kudos later.
I would like to provide a little recognition to the electric department. Fabulous job over this bizarre weather, diverting electricity all over the place. You guys are doing a great job. And thank you to Water for keeping it going. We appreciate it. So, no customers to be heard, no recognitions. We'll move on to number 7, old business. Seeing no business, no old business, we'll move on to number 8, reports, City Council. Councilmember Hendrickson.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Got 3 items here. First, the City Council accepted the resignation of Mayor Jonathan Judd, who took a judgeship in I think it's the 7th district, if I'm not mistaken, and located in Fergus Falls. So good luck to Jonathan. I think you'll be a great judge. And the City Council elected Shelley Carlson with a unanimous vote as the new mayor. So congratulations to Shelley, and I know you're going to do a great job too. And also at the City Council meeting, Travis and Mark presented the payment plan of the COVID, and we had a good discussion, frank discussion about it. So I don't know if we're going to bring it up today again, but we will. So I'll save that for later. That's all I have. Laura, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you, Chuck. Public Service Commission members. Anything to report there? Seeing,
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
Go
I have
ahead.
one quick thing. It's just more something that I would like to share. I can forward this to Travis. It was a Zoom invitation for, oh, let me find it here. the North Dakota Water Quality Monitoring Council. It is February 23rd from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on harmful algal blooms. So I thought maybe somebody might be interested, but I can forward that to Travis, and Travis can maybe send that out to everybody else.
Sounds good. I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi.
Yep.
Is there anything else from the commissioners? Seeing nothing, we will move over to the general manager's report.
Sure. Again, General Manager's report has a couple of items tonight. We did our final quarterly update of our strategic plan, so that's provided in the packet. Again, talks about the 5 strategic plans that we have, and some items underneath each of those 5 strategic plans that correlate to what Moorhead Public Service is doing in those areas. We also provided the quarterly dashboards as well, just kind of a quick update on operational items that occur on a daily and weekly and monthly basis over the quarter as well. One other item on there, I'm going to have Mark Moylanen come up. He's going to speak. We've got the Ide Bailey audit for 2020 coming up, and he's just going to give a quick, brief update on that. And then also there is some state legislator newsletters that's included in the item this evening as well. I've been doing that on the last couple meetings. It's just providing the most recent update we get from Missouri River Energy Services and Minnesota Municipal Utility Association as well. Mark, you want to go ahead on the audit plan?
Service. Within the packet, general manager item, there's item number 3, which basically outlines what's going on this year for the 2020 financial audit, which is being conducted by Ide Bailey. They've served as our external auditor for a number of years, going back as far as I've been here. We do have a current 3-year contract with them that was approved in December 3rd of 2019. This is a regular recurring item below. This schedule just kind of shows the timeline. Work started obviously on the 31st when the customer account system was closed. We received some letters from Ide Bailey, as we do every year, stating here's what our timeline is, which is from their standpoint, along with the various items that they're looking for to complete the audit. In this year's request, there was nothing really unusual. Every couple of years, they do change up the audit a little bit and do a focus on something maybe new or unusual, or something that's an emerging trend within government audits, but this year's audit looks like it's very consistent with last year's. They will be on site to do on-site reviews and question of the accounting staff the first week in March. And then after that occurs, they'll do some analysis and review back in their offices, work together with me, Jerry, and Katie on the accounting books, and hopefully we'll finalize and close 2020 in early April. And then through the first week in May, we work on our annual financial audit report. And then that is presented to the commission, usually around the second meeting in May. As I stated, this is a regular ongoing task. We've had very good luck with Ide Bailey and work really well with them and their staff. They have rotated leaders throughout the year, so we don't get the same people working as leads on each audit. So there is a different set of eyes looking at our financials and our operations at least once every 2 or 3 years. So at this point, I'm open for any questions you may have. Hearing none, I'll say thank you. And Travis, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, sure. Nothing on the audit plan or anything like that, but again, just wanted to provide a brief update on the events that have occurred in Moorhead or this morning. Unfortunately, we had to do some rolling blackouts in Moorhead. Then this was requested by Southwest Power Pool, which is our system operator. We were contacted by WAPA on behalf of SPP to do the rolling blackouts. We received a phone call about 9:20 this morning. asking or giving us about a 30-minute notice before we had to start doing the rolling blackouts. This is based on conditions outside of Moorhead and the request for the rolling blackouts. A lot of it is due to the cold weather that's happening in the central part of the United States, all the way from Texas to Canada, and conditions down in northern Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, and issues with generation and transmission that they have in their areas. Again, want to apologize to all the customers for the inconvenience we had to provide to them this morning. Again, there's a lot of things going on in the system right now, and we're continually keeping notified with SPP and WAPA. There is some potential for additional rolling blackouts. We haven't been notified at this time of when they're going to happen, but we could potentially see some tonight. There's a higher chance of tomorrow morning of that happening. Again, we're going to try to get some more information out later this evening, hopefully a map as well that will provide the two areas that we've kind of selected to do the rolling blackouts. And really what happens with those rolling blackouts is customers will be out of power for 30 minutes and then back on for 30 minutes. Again, would ask that people try to conserve as much power as possible, delaying doing any type of laundry or washing of dishes, including running stoves if you don't need to. Just, again, trying to minimize the amount of power that gets used. Turn your lights off as much as possible. Turn down your thermometer as well. Again, this is an ongoing situation. It's changing. Again, it's unprecedented. In Moorhead, we've never had to shut off power before. It's a very interesting situation to be in and an unfortunate situation to be in at the same time. We actually had to turn on our gen plant, which we've had for 10 years, and never had the request to turn it on. That turned on at 00 hours Monday morning or midnight, as most people know it. And that has been running now for almost 48 hours, and we've been running without any problems. So again, staff has been working around the clock on keeping that place running, along with trying to deal with these rolling blackouts, which we just got notified this morning of. I'll take any questions from there.
Madam Chair, can I ask a couple questions? I'll take that as a yes. Travis, you answered one of them. I was wondering, how often or if this has ever happened, and you explained that this has never happened before, so I appreciate you explaining that. Now, from the emails that we received this afternoon, or the information that we received, it sounds like the next 24 to 48 hours might be like an alert, be on alert type timeline. Is that correct? Or will this be, in your best guesstimate, will it be longer than 48 hours, or is 48 hours roughly the kind of time we're looking at?
Yeah, a lot of it is due to the temperatures, or the extreme cold temperatures that they're seeing in the southern half of the central part of the United States. As those temperatures start to rise, hopefully the situation goes away. I would say yes, the next 24 to 48 hours is probably the most critical. Sorry about that, I just got a note passed to me. But yeah, the next 48 hours is probably the most critical. As the temperatures go up, hopefully the conditions will change and we can go back to a normal status. Yeah, the press release will just say, yep, you're on alert for the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay.
And I see in your manager report you have listed, actually, there in your report you talk about very important power users, or VIPs. Do we have a list of those very important power users that we go through and alert when things like this happen? And I guess I'm wondering, is there something that we learn, anything that we learned in the communication effort when this happened at 9:20 this morning, in terms of getting the communication out? Like you said, it's pretty hard to do a press release in 30 minutes. So yeah, I'm just wondering, is there a list of those very important power users that we reach first? And is there anything that we learned in this first experience with having to do these blackouts?
Yeah, no, a lot of good information and a lot of things we've learned since we started the generators a day and a half ago, roughly. Along with the rolling blackouts. Yeah, again, 30 minutes is not a lot of time to communicate. We do have a list of VIP customers or large power user customers. We did get some notification out to them as quickly as we could. At the same time, trying to get a press release out, informing city staff of the situation as well, along with our customer account specialists who were probably going to be receiving a lot of phone calls when that 30-minute period was commencing as well, that they were having power outages. Yes, so we did provide some communication to those VIP customers. We had a conversation with the Moorhead Public Schools as well, notifying them of the rolling blackouts as well. I did have a quick conversation with Superintendent Lunick this morning as well, trying to get some information out. Fortunately, we only had to do it for 30 minutes. It was a mad scramble, and it was, again, probably frustrating more that it was only 30 minutes, but at the same time, it was a good thing that we only had to do 30 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Travis. And do you know if we have been in touch with some of our bigger users today, or does everybody kind of have an idea of what's going on in terms of these next 24 to 48 hours? People like the colleges, I should say, Crystal Sugar, some of those other big industries. Do they have a heads up that this could happen again?
Some of them do. I'm not sure if they all do. The interesting part, because our generation is running, we actually don't have to shut down the two colleges, Moorhead State University Moorhead, or MSUM, and Concordia. And then along with that, actually, InBev or Bush is also on that same substation. So they're not going to receive any power outages. Unfortunately, Pactiv, Crystal Sugar, and a few others are going to see some of those outages if they have to continue.
And good work under these unprecedented conditions. And yeah, good work. Keep it up.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank the staff. I mean, like Mary said, kudos to the electric division for working through this along with customer account specialists. Pretty much all staff has been kind of on alert, trying to figure out what we can do to modify things. The biggest question on the communication, again, it was short notice. It's hard to get information out to everybody. Again, look at social media, look for press releases. We're going to try to get something out on the Cass Clay alert system as well, just to put everybody on warning in Moorhead of additional blackouts potentially coming. Unless there's other questions.
I got a question, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you. You said you got short notice on it, Travis. There's no inkling, and you didn't get word from last week? Because I know Nebraska got notice that they might be put on rolling blackout, which I read, but I've had a lot of questions saying they didn't get notice whatsoever.
Correct. Our dispatchers were talking with WAPA last night because we were concerned about the rolling blackouts that were occurring in other parts of the Midwest here. At that point in time last night, they couldn't give us an answer of yes or no if we were going to be included in that. Regionally, they thought we were fine, but they couldn't say yes or no that rolling blackouts could come. That was the big question mark, and at that point in time, we've never seen this before happen. So, it was okay. Well, you got to give us more information before we can, instead of concerning everybody about nothing. We decided not to move forward with any type of warning at that point, since there wasn't a need for it.
Okay, yeah, and you don't want to create panic when there's no need to. So, and I thought your staff and you handled it really well, especially if you have to scramble to get a media, out in 30 minutes. That's impossible. That's a tough job. I have one more question too. When you say, there's 4 generators, right? Are you running all of them?
We got 5 2-megawatt generators.
Or 5, I mean?
Yeah, so those five diesel generators have been running for probably about 40 hours now.
Okay. Then, like I said, kudos to your staff and job well done. It was a half an hour. You know, I got to miss a half an hour work because I was working at home. So, of course, I have to make it up, but I won't go into that. So,
Yeah, and believe me, I'm sure there's a lot of frustrated customers out there that, you know, there wasn't a lot more notice. And again, apologize for the inconvenience we've given them. It's unfortunate that we had to do it, but it was for the overall protection of the grid. They wanted to control the outages over having a bunch of uncontrolled outages and having, you know, Moorhead specifically go completely out of power.
especially when it's 15 below. Yep.
Especially when it's 15 below. It takes a lot longer to get things back up and running then.
Thanks, Travis.
Interesting lesson on how we're all connected throughout the country. So the snow on Galveston Beach is affecting us. Okay. Are there any other questions for Travis? Very good. A report on service territory payments to Red River Valley Cooperative Power Association for 2020 energy usage.
Sure. Again, I'll have Mark Moylan come up and speak to this. This is typically an annual item that we provide to the commission, and it really has to do with anytime we purchase service territory from one of the other utilities that are around us. Those are both Red River Valley Co-op and Xcel Energy. In the past, the cost or the price have been a lot higher for the payments that we make to them. Over the past few years, those have kind of fallen off, but I'll let Mark speak to everything else.
Thank you, Travis. Again, Mark Moylan and Controller, Moorhead Public Service. As Travis indicated, this is an annual process that we go through where we pay for service territories that Moorhead Public Service has assumed over the years through either annexations or just assumption of service territories. Over the last couple of years, there have been a couple of instances where we've taken over service territory that was formerly serviced by Xcel. Xcel usually negotiates for an upfront one-time payment, which is very easy to deal with. It's based on consumption and their anticipated possible lost revenues over the next 10 years. Red River Valley Co-op, on the other hand, usually likes to be reimbursed over the 10-year period based on the consumption that Moorhead actually provides to the customers in those service areas. These started back probably in 2007, 2008, when the first service territories were assumed. Most of the agreements last 10 years, so a lot of the areas dropped off by the end of 2017. At this time, there are actually only 2 service territories that are affected. The first is the largest one up in Oakport. So if you'll recall, Oakport actually was serviced by Xcel Energy and Red River Valley Co-op about 50-50, and Xcel took a lump sum upfront buyout, and Red River Valley were paying them over time. So every year we calculate what the consumption was over the previous year, multiply it by the rate that was predetermined, and issue them a check. So this year's check was $77,116. And last year it compares to a check which was $75,958. So roughly about 2.5 million kilowatt hours of electricity was used up in those areas. To help recoup the costs, we'll get a little bit into surcharges that you may hear questioned from customers. So customers in those former service areas are paying surcharges on their electric usage, and the surcharges are intended to recapture the costs that were originally incurred or are ongoing to assume those service territories. The easiest way to explain it is the customers are getting a better deal under Moorhead Public Service than they would have had they remained on their former service provider, because we're only charging 1/2 of the difference between their rate and our rate on an annual basis to catch up on those surcharge paybacks. So it is an inconvenience for them. We are tracking when the costs are expected to expire. Most still have, they have roughly about 20-year payback, even though we pay over 10, because we're only collecting about half that difference. It does take about twice as long to pay back. So we do have tracking for these, and we'll continue to keep the commission and the public updated as to when those are expected to expire as the original debts are paid off. At this point, I'll just answer any questions if you have any. Hearing none, I'll turn it back over. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. A motion?
Yep.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept Mark's report on the service territory payments to the Red River Valley Cooperative Power Association for 2020 energy usage?
So moved.
Second.
Sebastian, was that you? Okay, thank you. Motion by Durand, second by Sebastian. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
I think Heidi had 2 votes there, but
You what?
with her puppy.
That's true.
Quit
And-
barking.
I'm being upstaged. All right, and then the 2020 Annual Reliability Performance Report.
Interesting one to talk about tonight, especially with what we had going on today. So then this is the Accept 2020 Annual Reliability Report. I'm going to have Taylor Holt, our electric distribution engineer, provide the update on it. But again, we met all 3 of our typical performance indices on that. So that was a good thing for 2020. And Taylor, I'll let you go ahead and speak to the rest of it.
Good evening.
Take your mask down.
Oh, what?
You can take your mask down.
Thanks. So as Travis mentioned, we had 3 indices that have been set by previous commissions of trying to have less than 1 outage on average per customer per year, and we just slightly made that one. And then also having a couple indices on the lengths of the outages. There's various ways to try to improve on that. Generally squirrel outages, which is probably the most common one around here. We can usually get it back on in less than an hour, and that proved to be in the mid-30s for both of those indices. And we also try to get our reliability based on total customer minutes being on throughout the year. And that's set between 4 and 5 nines, meaning 99.99% and adding 1 more 9 on the end. We also met that goal. Like Travis also mentioned, it'll be interesting in next year's report, trying to deal with the events of today and possibly tomorrow. But we'll deal with that at another time. Another update on the report, we changed it up a little bit this year because we've moved on to a new recording software, which is going to allow us to greatly improve the efficiency on tracking the reliability, as well as writing the report. And we also think that it's going to help us be more accurate with our statistics as well. So they're going to be a lot more trustworthy than in years past. Are there any questions that anybody has on the report?
Thank you. Does this report, is it primarily for in-house purposes, or does it need to go to another source?
Good question. This report is just for in-house, but for our RP3 and our smart energy provider accreditations, it also bears a fair amount of weight in that by reporting this. So it does give us a few points, which sometimes can be between gold and platinum.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I'll add one thing to that too. Regulated utilities have to provide theirs to the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. We provide ours to our commission for approval. That's just one of the differences in how we do this. Otherwise, some co-ops and most IOUs provide it to the MPUC.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Very good. Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to accept the 2020 Annual Reliability Performance Report?
So moved.
Moved by McDougall,
Second.
second Durand. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Seeing no one opposing, motion passes to accept the 2020 Annual Reliability Performance Report. And Travis, you wanted to address number 11 that was taken off consent, correct?
Correct, yep. Like Chuck talked about earlier in the city council report, last week, Mark Moreland, Controller, and myself provided an update to the city council as well, requesting approval of the payment plan. We had a very good in-depth conversation at that meeting, providing them information and answering any questions that they had. As we noted, the council requested that we modify the agreement so that we provided 24 months to all customers to have a 24-month term to pay back any past due balances related to COVID-19 pandemic. So that is why we're here tonight. We want to provide some more information on that, again, and have you reapprove, which we did 2 weeks ago, the plan, but modify it so that there's 24 months to the term and not the tiered approach like we had talked about at the last meeting. So Mark also has some additional information based on conversations we've had over the last week with customers, concerned customers, and some council member questions. Mark, I'll let you go ahead and speak to some of those questions that were out there.
Thank you, Travis. I also thought I'd give you an update on where we are within our plan, because if you'll recall, we presented a 60 to 70-day plan that we were going to use to communicate. So as part of that communication plan, we have presented 1,490 letters to our print company that they will be mailing out, stuffing and sending out by Thursday. Within those letters, we had agreed that we would focus on highlighting the 4 primary agencies and assistance vehicles that'll be made available. The first 3 would be the use of any CARES or state, federal programs that will be coming out. Unfortunately, at this time, we still have not received anything, but we do know that something is coming. That was reinforced today through my conversations with Lakes and Prairies, who also administered and helped us run the last, they called it CHAPS program, which was COVID Housing Assistance Program. They expect something similar to be announced within the next couple of weeks. That'll be geared a lot towards rent possibly, but they're not sure what will be happening with utilities. They expect there to be some component, but again, they're waiting for more details. The other agencies and vehicles that were stressed would be the use of getting in an application to West Central Minnesota Community Action. That agency provides assistance that's geared towards ensuring heating and electric costs are covered for those that meet certain income criteria. So again, we'll be focusing on, please contact them. If you have any questions, please contact our office and we can direct you to them and get you in touch with them. You can contact them by phone or website, but it's West Central Minnesota Community Action, or WCMCA.org. And then obviously the last vehicle that we were looking at was the Lakes and Prairies. And we did see some conversation with customers and some information out on social media that there was some discrepancy as to what they would be able to provide in terms of assistance. I talked to a representative from them today, and they stated that yes, they do want customers to contact them if they are potentially facing homelessness or having issues related to homelessness, if they have had homelessness issues in the past. Unfortunately, they have limited funding, so she did stress that as part of that conversation, they will be doing some preliminary questions to just determine if they feel there's a high likelihood of the caller gaining assistance or being eligible. Based on that conversation, they said that there's no guarantee, even if they do meet the criteria, that they have enough funding to cover 100% of the callers or requesters' request or needs, but they're going to try and do as much as they can based on priority. They also stated that if from the conversation that they have with the caller, that doesn't appear that they would be guaranteed to get assistance through their emergency program, that they would then work with them, the caller, to get them in touch with other agencies such as the Salvation Heat Share program. or Presentation Partners in Housing, who also do housing assistance. They might cover utilities or rents or whatever is needed. So they did state that they are out there and they are waiting to help. I did communicate with the representative that we are planning to send out the 1,490 letters later this week, and that they should expect to get some calls, and she thanked me for the advance notice, and they're looking forward to helping. And then obviously the last vehicle that we're looking at is if the state funding isn't available, or they don't apply or don't qualify, or if West Central Minnesota Community Action, they don't qualify for 100%, or through Lakes and Prairies, that will go to the City of Moorhead Public Service Payment Plan. And that is what you'll be approving tonight, to modify the terms. So I'll open to any questions you may have.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Laura.
Mark, I'm just wondering, for folks who are in that position where they're calling the different organizations, do you suggest that they set up a payment plan? Let's say that they didn't feel like they really got any headway and the CARES program that information isn't out yet. Do you want them to set up a payment plan beforehand, just to make sure they're on that? Or do you prefer that they wait for the information to come out?
That's a very good question. We've been talking about that internally, and I think the recommendation at this time would be to wait until as close to April 20th, when we plan on possibly doing our first disconnections, to really consider getting that. That way they'll have an opportunity to roll in that entire balance into that payment plan agreement. Obviously, or I should state that there's not an intention to allow this payment plan agreement to roll forward much longer than June 1st. So by June 1st, everyone will have had an opportunity to either enter into an agreement, or else they'll fall back into our normal collection processes. But I anticipate that most of the agreements will be entered in between April 1st and June, just to allow them to maximize the potential benefit they might receive. I hope that answers your question. I mean, we'll accept them if they want to do it now, but I would strongly encourage to maximize your potential benefit and alleviate some financial constraints. Wait.
Thank you. And a follow-up question to that would be, I know we've talked about this and you've said different ways that you're communicating, but are there any new ways of communication or different ways that you're planning to make sure that the word gets out to folks in time?
Yes, the plan again would be at least 4 communications from Moorhead Public Service, 2 in writing, 2 by phone. Be a combination of automated phone calls and in-person phone calls for those that we can't get a hold of. Again, by mail, because we have found that a lot of our information is missing, or phone numbers have changed over the years since some of the accounts were set up. We'll also be posting information as we receive it onto our Facebook site, onto our Twitter account, onto our mpsutility.com website. So that is our plan at this time. Again, we'll be sending that information out in terms of news releases as information is provided, and also sharing it with city so that it can be put on the city website.
Thank you.
We'll also probably utilize a couple other entities in town. Downtown Moorhead Inc. has agreed that they would help out, and same with Moorhead Business Association, in trying to get that information out.
Mark and Travis, it sounds like you've done just a great job of, I can't think of any other forms of communication that could be used other than carrier pigeons or something. So thank you both very much. I'm sure it's quite a bit of work going into making it work.
Well, thank you. And again, my staff is ready and they're waiting. We've had a lot of conversations as, how is this program going to work? What are we going to need to do, so that they're ready to start communicating with the customers when those calls come in, determining what their payment plans are, what their monthly payments could be, how to calculate it. So we're ready, but again, it's still a little bit of time to get going. But again, part of it we're encouraging to get out and do the work up front, West Central Minnesota Communities Action, Lakes and Prairies, and then again, be prepared or look for information related to the state or federal programs that is coming.
And I assume there's a learning curve here for us, for MPS, because there's never been anything quite like this in place before, has there?
This is a one-time, and this is the first time we've had to use this. Normally, our regular collection process,
Right.
it works, and it's been useful in keeping the balances down. But again, these, as today, it's unusual times, and this is a unusual situation. I mean, I hope things can get back to normal as we get closer to April, but
Well, I hope
no
you're
guarantees.
taking diligent notes that, so in case there's a next time, you got it down.
Yeah, it's been a learning process, but appreciate your support. And again, the great conversations we had as we presented the plan to the city council. They seem very supportive and understanding that we were looking to do what we think is reasonable and yet fair, and allowing a couple of years possibly for this current debt to be paid off over time.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Madam Vice Chair. Thank you. I have to bring this up, but Councilmember Seljevold stated that, is there a program where if people can contribute to a fund to help out people who cannot make the payments, people struggling? Do you remember that conversation?
I do, and our stock response would be that utilize the local Salvation Army Heat Share program. They have mechanisms in place to determine who would meet the qualifications. That's something that we don't have in place. That would require setting up an entire department to figure out who would qualify to receive those funds as they're provided to us. But if you do provide it to the local, the Salvation Heat Share program, funds that come from Moorhead will be used in Moorhead. That's one of the requirements of their program, is that local funds are provided back to the local community. So that's what we would encourage. If you do want to send payments with your bill, to Moorhead Public Service, we can definitely pass them along. We'd encourage them to be in a separate check so that we can send it on to the Heat Share program. But unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism at this place to add it to your normal payment.
And you don't want to be in the business deciding who gets...
That would be very tough, as we've had those questions. These other agencies, they have questions to determine, was your hardship due to COVID? Then they ask for documentation, show that you have reduced hours or that you had to care for somebody or something. There might be that involved, and we just don't have the capacity at this time to do that, and it would be quite an undertaking.
And then the Salvation Army heat assistance, is that publicized anywhere or how do people find out about it?
We do have a link within the Moorhead mpsutility.com website that does describe that. We also do statement messages a couple times a year during the cold seasons. We probably did one in January. But again, that's what we've been relying on. So for the next meeting, I can definitely provide that and make sure that we put that as a prominent item on our website and share it with city if they want to add it to theirs.
Yeah, and good point there, Mark. The other side of that too, City Manager Molly talked to me yesterday in regards to this as well, based on the conversation that you must have had with the council member as well. And then again, talking with Attorney Shockley as well, there's a lot of legal ramifications that are tied to, having some type of program where people can donate to this. Again, like Mark said, we would have to set up a group of maybe additional staff to even handle this. Again, how much money are we going to actually get in? What are the questions that are going to be asked? Do we really want to be the ones that administer this? Again, Attorney Shockley's response was, there are those third parties out there that we already work with that might be a better option than trying to set something up internally.
Thank you both. And like I said, great job with this COVID payment. It's and appreciate the 2 years too. People are struggling right now, and just give them a little extra time will make a world of difference, believe me. So thank you both. Thank you both for good work, and your staff too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mark and Travis.
Giving kudos to Mark on this one. He did a lot of the work.
Well, I kind of figured that. All right, so we need a motion on what? To restructure?
Just a motion to approve the amended payment plan agreement as it's recommended, and then a roll call vote.
Okay. So I would be asking for a motion to approve the amended payment plan agreement related to the COVID-19 pandemic.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Motion by Paulson,
Second.
second Durand. And we do need a roll call vote. Paulson,
Aye.
Durand,
Aye.
McDougall,
Aye.
Daley, aye. Passes unanimously. And I don't believe we have an executive session, closed session tonight, nothing?
Nope, not tonight.
Anything else anyone would like to add? Very good. Do I need a motion to adjourn? Yes, okay. I would be asking for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Duran, second by McDougall. All in favor say, do I have to roll call this one too? No, okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good.
All right. Good night.
Okay. We